And now we're coming out, roaring back out. We've launched our new firm, which we're going to talk about, and we're starting it out with getting ready to sell the mark. And that's really good news for everybody. And so I just want to rehash kind of what we've gone through and introduce you to our 1031 exchange rollover program. That's what we are as a 1031 company, to defer all capital gains and recapture taxes. And I just had an investor call me. We're running ads on the radio and some other things. We have a whole new strategy and business model, which I think you're really going to like. It's going to make our investors way more money and way more profitable, and we're disrupting the entire industry. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I just had an investor call me that is selling a property, and he's bringing over $12 million. And he bought over 30 years ago. It's very good for him. His opening question to me is, what is a 1031 to you? Okay, I had no chance to rehearse it. But he just said, what is a 1031 to you? And this is what I said back to him. I said, the 1031 exchange strategy is the single best way to build wealth in the world. So in the United States, for sure, and the United States is the most prosperous country and the greatest land of opportunity. It's the only place where you can continue to build wealth and keep it growing and keep your money working for you without paying $1 of taxes. You can just keep it going. You can't do that. Even in an IRA, as soon as you take a distribution out of the IRA, you get hit with income taxes. Maybe the opportunity zones have some things. I'm not an expert in those. There's some options. Maybe there's some other loopholes. But I would say the 1031 exchange is the most widespread, greatest way to build wealth in America. And we're about to show you why right here. Most of you did a 1031 exchange into the mark, meaning that you had already made profit. And so you deferred all of those capital gains and recapture depreciation taxes 100% and came into the mark. The mark had a strategy which was a value add play. It was not designed to be an income play. And I think maybe many of you were sold or told from salespeople that it was designed to create income. Income was a side benefit if we could get it. It was really a complete rehab of the amenities and all of those things. So to refresh the mark was an older property built in the 70s. Mitt Romney's sons, they have a fund that they run. They went and bought it and then rehabbed all the units, painted this lovely giant lizard on the side there. I can't remember what that's called. It's not a gecko. Do you remember what it's called, Amy? What is the name of that lizard? It'll come to me in a second. Nope. Not the dragon. Hilo. Anyway, it's something like that. Everybody knows it for it. It doesn't really relate to the name, the mark. We decided not to change it. But here's what they did. They redid all the units, but did not touch the amenity area. And you can see the old pool from the 70s. That actually wasn't that bad. But if you look on the other side of the property, you can see this. They just had a big dirt lot in the middle with a little barbecue area, right? And now they put up some trees and some umbrellas. But we feel like they just baked a giant cake and forgot to put the frosting on. And the frosting is where you make all of your money. So what we did is came in, saw that, and came in and put $2 million into the mark and took out this pool right here and put in a zero entry level pool. If you can see that, can't really see it as much. But what that means is it goes from like a lake. It goes from just the ground level and slowly gets deeper. So you can put lounge chairs in there. You can float. And then we built this really crazy lazy river that actually wraps around and goes under the building. We left the building in place, as you can see here, and then it comes out of the building, but we still kept the lounge area and everything on top. And that building was just a little like kind of classroom space that had whiteboards and some cubicles and things that the students would go in, but didn't really get that much use. Obviously, you can see in Arizona where you have the hot desert sun, what we put in there has just been amazing. We put in a water park slide, and then as you can see, a 40-foot movie screen. We turned that big cylinder wall, which was just useless, into a big movie screen with a projector, added 2 hot tubs and a sunken fire pit, and just made it amazing. Now we can compete with the best amenities in the whole market. However, our rents were still significantly lower than the brand new stuff. And so we remain essentially 100% full throughout COVID. And then we leased up again this year, 100% full. The property, however, is built in the 70s. And so still has, now needs some, like the roof needs some work. There's some leaks in a couple units. There's probably about $500,000 minimal to $1 million of rehab that needs to be done. And so instead of spending all that time and effort to do all that and then trying to make money 2 or 3 more years down the road, we decided to put up on the market. We received numerous offers at lower amounts because we're experts in acquisitions. We're buying in the markets across the country. We know what properties are selling for. We know what cap rates are. And we turned down, said no, and held out until we finally got some offers that were significantly higher than we had ever anticipated, which in turn means value for you guys. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. We won't until we close. But we owe about $15,500,000 on the property right now in terms of loan. There's about $7.8 million of total equity. That puts us in about 23, and I think we're going to net somewhere around 27 or 28 million. And we had hoped, prior to COVID, we probably would have sold this thing for $2 to $3 million less. And so anyway, we're going to be in a really good position. The total return to our investors, which is you guys and us, we're owners of this property as well, is going to be over 100% return, likely to 120%. So that is amazing, and we're all excited. The downside is that capital gains tax right now is about 25%, plus your state taxes if you're in California, and which goes to income if you're in the higher income bracket, which my guess most of you are. It's going to put you at another 13%, putting you over 50% of it. Then you have to go back and recapture any of your depreciation write-off that you took in all the way back to your original purchase of your original property that you then 1031. And then, we have some distributions. I think we paid out about 1.7 million in distributions. All of that recapture would have to be paid back, putting you probably close to 60% of your profits. But it's not based on the profit of this property. It would be based on your original profits all the way back. And so it's just compounding. So it just makes sense, in our opinion, to do a 1031 exchange. And now what we want to do is we've spoken to most of you and gotten a lot of feedback, is turn that all into monthly income. So we've gone out and found properties that we feel like would be the very best in the market. We look what our competitors are putting out there in terms of a professionally purchased, acquired 1031 exchange opportunity. I'm about to tell you about 2 of the best opportunities out there, and I'm happy to put these up against anything you're looking at, even on your own. To go buy. This is what we do for a living. We're serial buyers, and I'll tell you about those in just a second. Amy, anything you'd like to add for a minute that you've heard from the investors also about the mark or questions?
No, I would just say that as Pat mentioned, the numbers are going to be coming out. We do have to go to the next stage. Now that we have all the resolutions signed by everyone, we'll go ahead and move forward and make sure that we have title. We give title that information, and they pull title so that we can go ahead and get you guys the numbers. And we'll start putting those together and hopefully get them for you by the beginning of next week.
Perfect. I'm not hearing you through my screen.
Oh, you can hear.
I can hear you directly, yeah, but can everybody else hear you through the screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, of course, Amy is taking charge of the technical aspects, which is we have to get everything signed, and we're signing contracts. Today, it's going to be a relatively short close, probably about 60 days, I'm guessing, or less, sometime in early December. And of course, that will then start the clock for your 1031 exchange. The first thing you need to do if you want to do a 1031 exchange, I would say, is examine what your taxes are going to look like and what the profits are going to look like. We will give you in the next week or 2 the full profit analysis and estimated distributions or proceeds, I should say, that you'll get from the sale. And then in turn, you can do your own tax calculations. We're happy to help you as well. So we can do any of that, and we'll get that out to you very, very quickly so that you can assess that. And essentially, the capital gains tax and all those are going to be exponentially high because of the profits and all those things. So so we'll take a look at that, and then we'd love to go over the opportunities that we're bringing to you. So with that, I'd like to introduce. Is there anything else I need to talk about signing? Amy will reach out to you for anything else we need to sign or get approvals. We've received 100% votes to go forward with the sale. Everybody's really excited about it, and so are we. We've all been up for waiting for some good news coming out of the pandemic, and we're finally benefiting from here. One other thing I will say is to put in these pools and to get the permits from the cities and to lock everything down. You can see the closed space right there. It was a very difficult task. It took us years to do it. It was difficult to work with tenants and residents because they didn't, they obviously didn't get any use of the pool until it was open. They had to put up with sound and noise. And so with that, we had a lot of vacancies and things like that we would expect. And so that's one reason why the distributions weren't there. But that's not why we were doing this project. And I think going forward, our industrial relations and speaking to us, which I'm going to talk about next, will be very, very clear on what the strategies are of each property. Okay, with that, I would like to introduce you to our newer multifamily company called Sun Pacific Properties. We call it Sunpack 1031 for short. And this is our multifamily, going way back on that one, our multifamily new 1031 sponsor company that we were launching in 2019. And then we put a hold on it, obviously, with COVID and all that. And now we're relaunching. We relaunched it actually in 2020. And we're coming out with our first property here. And we're really, really excited about it. So Sun Pacific, our first property is called Tempranillo Apartments. We will likely change that name just because it's hard to remember. That's based on a wine up there in Northern California. It's in Clovis, California, which is a new and exciting high growth area of the Fresno metropolitan area. We really like Fresno because it's anchored by farmland and of course Fresno State University, which we tend to know a few things about. And then also they have some of the best hospitals in the state that are very, very close to this area. And all those type of anchors drive the economics of the area, which we really like. You can't really see here, but we share a fence just to the right outside of the screen with a multi-million-dollar single family home residence. It's a gated community. And when you actually drive by, you can't really tell the difference between those homes and our apartment complexes with our palm trees and just how well it's done. This one, I think the best new development in the state of California. When it was developed in 2019, we bought it directly from the builder. It's 98, 99% occupancy. But here's what really makes it compelling. Here's some pictures of it. It's just a beautiful property. Here's what makes it compelling for a 1031 exchange. Here's a little bit about the market, is that we put it under contract in 2020, in August of 2020, in the heart of COVID. And there just wasn't nearly as much business being done as there is now. We feel like we got a great cap rate. And then we also locked in and closed on it on April 1st or 2nd of this year. And we got a 3.25% interest rate from a local bank. And our prepayment penalties are, they go in just a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so it's way less than if you have like an agency, like a Fannie Mae or a CMBS loan, like most of my competitors, where you have to pay this huge amount of defeasance down the road. So if we want to sell this in 2 or 3 years, it's only a small fee rather than a multi-millions of dollars of prepayment. But at 3.25%, interest rates have already gone up to 3 3/4 to 4. So I think that that also protects our cap rate if we want to sell in 2 or 3 years. Someone can assume that loan at 3 1/4 and do really well. We've already been able to push rents, and then we're going to come in and add a few things here and there just to help, maybe a hot tub, and which is our kind of our calling card and our signature thing. And then also maybe some carport, stuff like that, just as demand drives. But for the most part, it's just a great buy. The seller actually came back, because I've never had this happen, just a couple of weeks ago, and offered to buy it back. So he was able to get some other financing and free up some cash, and he really liked the property and offered us over $1 million more to buy it back. But we're doing 1031s, and we have people that have identified it, and so we can't turn around and sell it. But I would say this, you're actually buying into value, I would say, of over $1 million of immediate equity. Whereas most of our competitors, I would say everyone I've ever seen, the markups are so high, which is what I want to talk about next, that usually it takes 2 or 3 years for you to even break even. And a lot of times the cash flow is actually financially engineered to get some cash flow for the first couple of years, but really to break even, you have to hold it for at least 2 or 3, sometimes even up to 5 years. So having said that, we, Nielsen Partners and Sun Pacific 1031 have made a huge decision. We are disrupting the entire 1031 DST market with something brand new, and that is that because we only do 5 to 6, 7 properties a year, we are completely cutting out the broker dealers. The broker dealers are raising this year in the DST market $5 billion. Their commissions on that is approximately $500 million. I personally, from the companies I've run, have paid broker dealer commissions on 1031 exchange properties to the tune of over 70 million, right? So we are cutting all of those costs out. In other words, we're going to be like Dell Computer in the 90s, where we cut out the Circuit Cities and the Fedcos, and I don't even remember those type of companies, but the middlemen, and you could go directly to them online and you saved all that money, but we don't have all the shipping costs and everything that they have. And so with that, we're saving 10%. In addition, most of our competitors borrow money to close on the properties at high money rates. And so they also put those prices and costs in there. And then they have their acquisition fees. So they have a triple markup. Some of my direct competitors, who I'm sure many of you know very well, their entire business model is on the broker dealer commission. So my closest competitors, they make all of their profit from that triple markup. The first 2 markups only break them even from paying all the high hard money loans and all that. And we don't charge any hard money loan fees. We don't charge now any broker dealer fees. So we just charge our real estate acquisition fees, which is slightly higher than a broker you would pay anyway, a few percentage points more. That's it. That allows us to pay higher dividends, gives you more ownership, it gives you more depreciation. And then of course, when you sell the property is where you really see it. Well, you see it 2 places. On the higher income coming in, we're starting at over 6%. There's no financial engineering to get that 6%. That's direct cash flow. We've already owned it since April. It's already exceeding that right now. And then secondly, when you sell the property down the road, instead of having to have 10% less ownership, where you're diluted a little bit, you keep all that 10% ownership. So it means you make more money, more proceeds, and then you can do a 1031 exchange again. So there's just no way our competitors can compete with this. But having said that, the people that are the broker dealers out there that are all over the internet and the web and advertising, and that's their whole business, are extremely angry, and they're coming after us in every way you can. My direct competitors, that's their whole business models, to make those commissions. It's making them personally wealthy, yet they're not turning over properties with profit and all those things. They just keep selling more and more. It's a totally different business model. Our business model is based on real estate and buying great properties. You make your money, you've heard this, you make your money in real estate on the purchase, not the sell, on the purchase. So when you're purchasing it, if you have a broker dealer commission of 10%, let's say it's 9%, and you have let's call it $10 million. That means you have $900,000 in commissions. Well, now you have to take out another $90,000 of additional commissions to pay for the commissions. And then you have to take out another $9,000 to pay for the extra money that's paying for the commissions. It's just the snowball effect in the wrong direction. We're wiping all of that out. Gone. And if you want more detail on that, come and talk to us and we can explain and show you the numbers. In the past, when we've done it, we've still been able to make money because we bought great properties. This one we put under contract over a year ago. It's paying over 6%, and you're buying into value, and we have a great interest rate on it. It's arguably by the way, in terms of depreciation, the assessment from the California State Tax Assessor's Office puts the land value at under 5%, about 4.7%. And so that means you can depreciate over 95% of it. This is another big thing we look at. So let me give you that in just plain math numbers. This property is going to put out about $600,000 a year, a little over that, $650,000 a year in cash flow. Okay, it's going to provide over $750,000 of depreciation. So depending on your cost base, now you come in, most likely you will pay 0 taxes on any of the income. So at 6.05%, if you were in a 30% tax bracket, which you would be with, say, with a property in Florida where it has 30 acres and the land value is 30%, or a Walgreens or something that's on Main Street where the land value is 30, 40%, you'd have to make about 8.5, 9% just to break even with us, just because of the taxes. Okay, that math is just very, very hard to argue. This is the type of properties we look for, the value, because we've been doing 1031s for 20 years. And this is why it's one of the best properties on the street. And we're happy to put it up against anything else you're looking at. Okay, that's Tempranillo. Super excited. The market overview. I mean, you have right here a market that's as large as Salt Lake City. And it's smaller in California because of the big LA market, San Diego, San Francisco, Metro, San Jose, and all that. But it's still a big major market backed by solid acres. There's some information, we can get that to you as well. Here's some of the information on it. The loan to value is 54%. Gets you nice appreciation. We'll went over all that. So that's really exciting. Starting at 6.05% and running from there. Okay, the second opportunity is called University Gardens. This is a classic student housing from Nelson Partners. Again, same thing. We are eliminating completely the broker dealers. However, by the way, I should mention, if you do happen a rep that you really like that's brought you all this stuff, we are happy to pay that rep as well. We just add their commission onto your price. So if you want us to do that, we're more than happy to do it and pay them a commission rather than having that money go to your ownership and property. We'll pay them out, which we're happy to do. We do have a few people like that that want to stick with their reps. So just let us know on that. University Gardens, we bought about 5 years ago. We gutted it, rehabbed. It was built in 1947. It's just an amazing property. It's one of the only, I think there's 2 student housing properties, but we're really the only true student housing property at the University of Utah, which is a major Pac-12 school. It's in Salt Lake City, but it's located up in the corner of the mountains. So there's very little room on the northeast side to build. Obviously, it's all, this is a historical property. You can't even change the facades. We put in a hot tub, which we had to pull teeth to get done and keep it hidden from the street. But it's just a beautiful little cottage boutique property that we completely rehabbed. And you can see the interiors. We put in a great new kitchens and flooring, and we put in like all this, brick areas and made these gorgeous little hangout areas and fire pits. And of course, put in this hot tub, which in the winter there is just amazing. And we've been 100% full every year. However, we've had the same manager for 5 years and we have not pushed rents. We believe there's a 50 to 100 at least increase in rents over the next 2 to 3 years, especially as the pandemic comes roaring back. And we see this one as just a super great option. It's about 10% land value only, so you're still going to be able to depreciate about 90%. And so these two together, we think, make a great combination. One in Salt Lake City, one of the hottest markets in the country, one of the best universities in the country. I could go on and on about that, but it's just really amazing. These kitchens down here were half that size when we bought them. There was a back staircase on two-story buildings, so we took out the back staircase and doubled the size of the kitchens and put in all new appliances and all those things. We're on a waiting list every year, and with COVID, we haven't pushed rent, so that's a big upside. We're also going to put in carports. We have no covered parking in a high winter season area, so we think that'll generate some cash flow and some upside as well. So we love this one for upside, for cash flow, for asset preservation, and we think it's a great combination to go with the Tempranillo apartments as well. Here's just some information on it. This one, though, however, is about 30 days to 40 days away from coming to the market. But we have it under contract and we control the sell. And so we're really, really excited about it. This is one of my favorite all-time properties. Okay, now having said that, those are 2 great options. We're also looking at 2 other options in the Phoenix market. Gilbert, Arizona is a great hot new little city, and also in another multifamily, not student housing, in Tempe, and another one, actually a third property. And those are probably a few weeks to a month behind as well. But we'd love just to get your feedback on what you're looking for and where you'd like to go. Here's one big, huge thing though. We have over $20 million of new 1031 money that's closing in the next 2 weeks to 2 months that we have been showing these properties to, but we want to give first reservation opportunities and first opportunities to you guys, our investors who have been with us, who are rolling over. So we need to know as soon as possible your indications of interest and what you'd like to do here. If you'd like to go into either one of these properties or both, or one or the other, because as soon as you guys, we hear back from you guys, which hopefully is the next week or so, whatever you need time to look at those. By the way, I'm happy to meet you at the properties. I'll be in Utah next week. We'll be up at Tempranillo, I think the week after. However, our sales guys can get there anytime. It's a 4-hour drive from us, 5-hour drive, or we can jump on a quick Southwest flight and get up there in 45 minutes. So we'd love to hear from you on that. And we're only going to do 5 to 6, maybe 7 properties a year. So we sell them all out. Our number one goal is to make sure that you guys are super happy and have great opportunities. And we're putting this out to you guys first. There's only 10 million in each deal. So there's only 20 million. The mark alone has $16 million coming out of it or so. So, I mean, if all of you guys wanted these 2 properties, it'd basically be sold out. And then we have a couple other properties are going to be selling as well. So if you're in some of our other properties, you'll be hearing some great things from Nelson Partners coming out with some big returns on the properties that are doing well, and we're able to overcome the pandemic. Amy, what else you got for me?
I would just say if anyone has any questions after this call, if we didn't answer any questions of yours, please reach out to me. I can schedule a call with Pat directly on his calendar and make sure that you guys have time to speak to him.
If you have, one other thing I forgot to mention on your accommodators, we have negotiated special rates with accommodators because we do so much business with them. And so if you need an accommodator, which is completely third party from us, we have 2 different ones we work with. We will actually, if you roll into our properties, we will cover all of your fees. Obviously, we get a much discounted rate, probably 1/3 the price than what you would normally get from them. Their business is just on fire as well, so they can charge the higher fees. But let us know on that if you need an accommodator. And then please, if you'd like to talk to me directly, ask any questions in as much or little detail as you can. We're the best in the business because we buy right. We know what you're looking for, and we buy with intent and intention. And now we've reduced our fees to be the most competitive in the whole industry. And so when you put all those things together, I think it'd be very, very difficult, even outside the 1031 sponsor competitor world, for people just to go out and buy properties at better prices than we do. We know the brokers on these properties. We know the areas. I'm personal friends with the 4 top leading brokers in the Salt Lake area. We're buying this property. We bought this property in Tempranillo from the #1 producer for Colliers in the whole entire country. I'm good friends with them. They brought the deals to us. They know what we're looking for, but they know we're serial buyers. And so that buying clout gets us better pricing, and we have a 99% closing track record. We just get better prices. It would be much harder for even someone who was doing a 1031 that had 10 million in cash to go out and compete and get better properties or even beat us out, because we have relationships every day with these brokers. They sell for us, they buy for us, we make them lots of money, and they in turn help us out as well. So having said that, I would just say this: congratulations, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us in the market and through the pandemic. But I think you'll see what you get from investing in people that really know real estate and can go in and get things done. Yeah, there's problems up and down the way. There's pandemics, there's issues, but in the end, it's the people that know real estate, that know what they're doing, that know when to say yes on the sell, know when to say yes on the buy, know when to say no on offers. All of that put together is what's driving this profit here. And congratulations, and look forward to working with you guys or talking to you on an individual basis. Thanks for taking time this morning.